Hello everybody, and welcome to another presentation of Fundamental Games. Today we're going to be going through a new replay of Untamed. Untamed is, let me just flip this over, here we go, Untamed Feral Factions actually. It's a new card game that's going to be coming out on Kickstarter in early June by a first-time creator, but from what I've seen from the game, it looks really good. I mean, I like all this artwork is really sharp, and you'll see that as we play through the game. The mechanics are innovative, both for the drawing and for the power sources and whatnot. And it just seems like it's well thought out. So I'm going to go through and play it. You're welcome to download the rulebook and read along. Do what you need to do there, but I'm just going to go do a start to finish two-player game, and I'm going to play as both players. So, how do we play Untamed? First off, each player is going to take turns picking out animal factions. I'm just going to put together a couple factions to save on time. We'll say pandas. Oops, grab this whole deck here. I'm going to take pandas and rats and raccoons. Okay, so this becomes Player 1's deck. Here we go. Put that in the deck box. This is all done on Tabletop Simulator, created by the game creators themselves. So this is not my creation. They did a good job at getting it downloaded well. So for the other group, we're going to play with, let's say, foxes, rabbits, and rhinos. Foxes, rabbits, and rhinos. Sure, they're a good combination, right? Shuffle that up. Flip it over. That in their deck area. Alright, then each player gets to take their strongholds. So what do we say? Raccoons, rats, and pandas. Now, they could take those strongholds and put them in any order. I'm just going to leave them in a random sequence that I just drew. And then the same with rhinos, foxes, and rabbits. So we put that into this person's stronghold deck. Alright, so now each player has 3 stronghold, but you only keep the one card revealed and the other 2 go underneath. But as a player, you get to choose what sequence they go in. Once one gets destroyed, then the second one is revealed, and so on. The objective of the game is to destroy your opponent's 3 stronghold cards, or if they run out of deck, they lose the game. Whichever happens first. There's a handy keyword chart here. Keywords are much like Magic the Gathering. You've got specific words that are similar for any card that has them. So in this case, there's arrive, last words, support, guard, and surge. And then there's a how to play card here just to remind you of what you do each turn. So these cards here aren't needed anymore, but according to the designers, there's over 1,000 deck combinations that you can have based on having each of these build these 45 card decks. So it reminds me a bit of Keyforge that way when you have those 3 different functions. Over here we've got some damage and fury tokens. Those are going to be used during the gameplay to represent damage to creatures and strongholds, and fury will give creatures additional strength to do more damage. Alright, so what happens from there? We start off the game. To start the game, each player will draw 8 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then flip them all over. Now these would be in the player's hand, but for this player I'm going to leave their hand face up over here, and for the player closer to me, those are going to be in my actual hand. So here we're going to draw those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. So zoom in here. So player, we're going to call, what are we going to call this player? We'll call this player Foxy, and then we'll call my player Panda. So Panda versus Fox, even though we have 3 races each. Okay, so Fox, what happens is each player gets to pick 1 card from their hand and put it into their support zone. The support zone is kind of a secondary power zone, and you'll learn that as we go through the game here. So I want to pick a card, any card from my hand goes into my support zone, and what it does doesn't really matter because the only thing it's worth is 1 paw symbol, which is a support symbol. So we're going to take one of these guys. So that goes into their support pile. And then this player here, we're going to put one of these guard raccoons into my support pile. Alright, so now we are officially ready to start the game. We're going to play with Panda first, since that's right in front of me here. And what I'm allowed to do is, well, we can look at this card here so you can see up front. Main phase, I'm allowed to play a card if I have the ability to, or attack with an animal that isn't exhausted. In order to play a card, I have to be able to afford that number in the top left of the card. That's its power creation icon. So in order for me to place this guy into my play zone, I would need 1 power. I don't have any power right now. So how do you get power? Well, the way you get power is you pick any card from your hand, doesn't matter which one. They have 0 influence on what they do once they become a power card. So I could say take this lightning rod and I put it into the power zone and flip it upside down. So that is now officially a power card for the rest of the game. You can only get up to 5 power cards in a game, and power cards are what allow you to make your other cards. So what I could do from there is I could tap my power card, which basically means it can't be used for the rest of the turn, to get my 1 power. And then I can play any card that is worth a power. So I can play this card. This card is the Urson Gambler. So he's an animal, he's a permanent creature card. You can see the nice panda icon on the top right there. And it's got 1 attack power, which is the red diamondish thing on the left, and it's got 2 shield or 2 defense, which is how much damage it can take before it dies. When it arrives, I put the top 2 cards of my deck into my support zone, and if there is a panda among them, my card gets 2 fury. So I take the top 2 cards of my deck, 1 and 2, and they go into the support zone. If I find a panda, that is not a panda, that's a fox, and that's a fox. So nothing special there. So I don't get 2 fury. And that's it. He comes into play exhausted. And that is all I can do for that part of my turn. Then if you look at the play card, I may perform playing a card from my hand face down as a power, which I did. I could pay 2 power to draw a card, I don't have any power. Or I could use my Stronghold's ability, and that is 3 support, that's what that paw icon represents, to draw a card. Now if I wanted to use these 3 support, I actually have to discard them and put them out of the game. So they go into this out of the game pile. And then I would get a free card. But there's a ton of things that use support, and you don't want to waste it early in the game if you already have cards. So I'm not going to use that support power right now. So those are the optional things you can do in your turn. Then you go to your upkeep phase. During my upkeep phase, I must do these actions. Number 1, I ready all exhausted cards, so untap, untap, or unexhaust. Number 2, I draw a card, and number 3, I put a top card of my deck onto your stronghold. Now what I was told from the designer is that's been rectified, and in the new rules I saw that. Instead what I get to do is draw 2 cards, 1, 2, and then I pick any card from my hand and put it in the support. And this gives you more control over your deck and the future of your game. So we're going to go in here and we're going to take another one of these raccoons, throw them in there, and that's a must. I can't just keep it in my hand. So there's no limit to how many cards you can have in your hand, but there is a requirement that you put a card into your support zone each turn. So that's the end of Panda's turn. We go to Foxy's turn. So Foxy starts their turn. They've got no power, so they can't make anything unless something had a power of 0, which it doesn't. So I want to get rid of something. I'm going to get rid of, we'll say this hidden blade, because I'm not going to be able to make that for at least 3 turns. So I put the hidden blade into my power. I tap my power, and then I can make something that's worth 1. So in this case, this guy here I was going to make. So this guy I can put into play. When he arrives, I can pay 3 support to remove all fury, move all fury from an animal to this card, and it has Surge. So We put it into play for the one that I tapped. What is Surge? Surge is an ability that lets me attack a creature when it comes into play. It can't attack a stronghold, so it comes into play unexhausted, but it can only attack an opposing creature. And that's about all it can do. Its arrive function doesn't help me. So what I can say is I'm going to go charge right in and attack this guy. Oopsie. So when I attack this guy, I'm going to do 2 damage to him, and he's going to do 1 damage to me. So what's that going to do? Well, both of us are going to die. If we had more than each other's defense, like I could put he only did 1 damage to this guy, then he'd still be alive until another damage is dealt, but that's not the case in this game. So what happens is this guy goes into this guy's support zone, and Foxy goes into Foxy's support zone. So it means that cards that die still serve 1 more function before they're gone out of the game. And that is a cool mechanic that I like in this Untamed game. Alright, so I've played a card, I've tapped my thing. I cannot use my strongholds because I don't have 2 support. Actually, I do have 2 support now. Deal a damage to an animal or a stronghold. So if I really wanted to right now, I could trash these and do a damage right to their stronghold. But I'm not going to do that. Then I'll go to my end of turn step, and we're going to draw 2 cards. Oops. Draw 2 cards. So they're in his hand, and then got to pick a card from my hand to put into my support zone. So we're going to put a spyglass into the support zone. Alright, this player's turn is done. We untap that and go back to Panda's turn. So in Panda's hand, they could not play a power card and only play something that costs 1, like another gambler, or they can put something in their power zone. Alright, so I'm going to put something in the power zone because I think that's a pretty important part of the game. I'm going to put that upside down in the power zone, and this requires a lot of decision making once you're familiar with the cards and what they do, deciding what card goes in the power zone and what cards you want to keep in your hand to try to win the game with. Really like that. So I tap that, and I can make something that's worth 2 or 2 cards that are worth 1. So for example, I could make a scientist and a gambler because I'm spending a power on each. When I make this gambler, I put the top 2 cards of my deck into my support zone, flip them over. We have a panda, and we have a panda. So what does it say here? If there was a panda among them, this gains 2 fury. So now this guy is actually even stronger. Instead of being a 1-2, a 1 power and a 2 defense, he's a 3 power and a 2 defense. So that was a nice little boost that he got. He doesn't get 2 for each, he just gets 2 in total. This guy gets nothing when he arrives, and he's a guard. So if you look at this keyword, guard means he must be defeated before any other animal or stronghold can be attacked. So he's raccoon fodder in a way. So it's better for me not to attack because he doesn't do any damage, but he kind of sits there as a little wall that my opponent has to get through before they can get to my stronghold. That's a cool function. Alright, I'm going to pay 3 this turn, so it doesn't matter which cards you get rid of because you can never get them back as far as I know. So I'm going to take these 3 cards, put them over here, and use my once per turn stronghold ability and draw a card. So that might help me later. I've already played a power card, so there's nothing else I can do this turn other than ready those and draw 2 more cards for my end of turn step, and then I pick a card to go into my support pile. So which card am I going to pick? Again, I'm pretty new to this game, so I'm not going to say I know that I'm making the right moves each time, but we're going to put an empowering salve in there. Okay, that's the end of this person's turn. We're on to Foxy. Foxy doesn't draw. I'm so used to Magic, drawing a card at the beginning of my turn. This game you do not. It's like Keyforge. A lot of things happen at the end of your turn. So this person's on their second turn, so they can play a card into their Nice. We're going to put the Sheeming Seer into the power zone, flip it over, and we can make a Rockhide Berserker. This defeats a given animal surge. Or we could try to take out something. Could do 2 damage to this for that. So let's say I want to dispose of this big creature before it can get me. Instead of it killing one of my creatures, I can tap those 2. This is what we call an item card. An item card is kind of like a one-time effect. You're using the item right away. You don't get to save it on the battlefield. It's like an artifact or a spell that stays in place. It's just a one-time use. So I pay my 2, I do 2 damage to an animal, and if it defeats it, I could give any animal surge. So that will go into my support zone. I'm targeting this creature to do 2 damage to, so he goes into his support zone. The Fury tokens are discarded. And if I had a creature in play, I could give it surge, but I do not, so no big deal there. I don't have any more power to create anything. I could do a damage to an animal or a stronghold. I'm not going to. And then I'm going to draw my 2 cards for the turn. 1, 2. Oops, these go into this player's hand. And then they have to decide what card to put into the support zone. So having that little 2 damage Shocking Saber, pretty good to have. Rockhide Berserker's decent. General Greycoat is kind of like the best rabbit creature of the deck. And a Bone Hammer, you can pay 5 supports instead of paying its power cost and do 2 damage to 2 animals, so some more direct damage to creatures. Let's get rid of a Rockhide Berserker. Okay, back to Panda's turn. So Panda wants to keep boosting his power. I think if you fall behind in power on the table, you're probably going to fall behind in the game. Heal an animal or stronghold for 2. That's pretty cool power. It's the first time I saw a healer. Pay 3, one with steal 3 damage to animals. We're going to put the power keg in here, flip it over. Now I can make something for 3. You can spend 2 to make this guy. So when he arrives, heal an animal or stronghold for 2. You know what? I played that wrong. Let's put that back in my hand. I thought this guy could tap or something to heal, but he can only arrive to heal. So let's put the medic in here and flip him instead. So I've got an explosive barrel. If I paid 2 power, I could do 3 damage to any animals. There's no animals there. I really got nothing else I can make this turn, but I can pay 3, discard those to draw a card. Maybe I can draw something that I can make. Oh, I did. Lucky me. I found a back alley bruiser, a giant rat. So I put it into play for 3 by tapping. 1, 2, 3 comes into play tapped. Whenever he takes damage, my opponents must put a fury on any one of my animals. That's a cool power. I like that. You can see the little rat icon. And that, you see the little bookmarky flag thing on the top beside the creature's name with a star on it? That is actually a triggered ability. If someone destroys your stronghold and you draw that card, you can play it for free. We'll talk more about that later if it comes up. Okay, so I've tapped. I have the ability to attack, but this guy can't actually do any damage, so I've already used my stronghold ability for the turn. I should have 3, 4. I didn't put enough here. I should have 6 cards sitting in my out of game pile because I've used my stronghold twice for cards. So my clicking must not have added up properly before. Okay. Use my stronghold ability, can't do anything there. I've got, I could pay 2 more power to just draw a card normally, because that is, oh, I don't have any power, never mind. So this guy's turn is done. We ready our cards, we draw 2 cards, and then we pick a card to go to the support pile. So Rado joins the support pile. Alright, off to Foxy's turn. Oops, forgot to ready last turn. So Foxy's going to be able to make something worth 3 if he puts the right card away. We're going to put the Rockhide Berserker here, flip it over. We're going to tap, tap, tap. or exhaust I should say, in this game. Tap is a magic turn. Put this guy into play. So what does this guy do? When he arrives, he can move a damage from any animal to any other animal. If this kills something, he gains a fury. So I can't do any of that because nobody has any damage. So basically it's just a 3/3. Nothing wrong with that. He's tough enough. Then I could use this, deal 2 damage to an animal or a stronghold. I don't want to. Do I? No. I don't have any more power to use. I could pay 2 of these to draw a card. Don't want to. So, actually, you know what? No, I don't want to. Okay, so end of turn. Ready these. 1, 2, 3. Draw 2 cards. Flip them over and pick a card to go into the zone. Alright. So let's, well, we already got one of these on the table. Put that there. Foxy's turn comes to an end. Back to Panda's turn. So, Panda, before I can play the first actions in any sequence, I can play an attack and play an attack. So, if I wanted to attack first, before deciding what card to play, I could. Whenever this takes damage, your opponent must put a fury on one of your animals. So I can say I want to attack this guy. I don't have to. I could go right to the stronghold, but I'm going to say I'm going to attack this guy. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to spend 2 power, tap, tap, to activate this keg. I can pay 3 support instead if I want, but I'm not. My opponent must deal 3 damage to animals they control, divided as they wish. So 3 damage, he's only got 1 creature. That means that's the only creature that can take damage. So now that I've dispatched his one and only creature, he's even more defenseless. I still have 1 power left. I could make this Ratto Thug. When it arrives, I could have dealt the damage to an animal. Yeah, that's okay. I'm just going to put Ratto right in here, and I'm going to pay 2 power to draw a card. So I can tap that, and draw another card. Then I can still go to my attack phase. So I will tap this guy, or exhaust this guy to do 3 damage. So Stronghold has taken its first bit of damage, 3 damage to it. I'm going to put it on this underneath. So now that it has 3 damage, it's got 4 left before that disappears and we go to the next Stronghold. Alright, this guy can't attack because he won't do anything anyway. I drew my card. I could pay 3 of these to draw another card, but I don't need to right now. So I'll draw my 2 cards for the end of the turn and pick one to put in my support zone. So you can see here I have 2 Redans, and it might seem silly to get rid of one, but the chances of me playing both are pretty slim, so I'm going to put one in here. And unexhaust my guys. So that's the end of Panda's turn. We go to Fox's turn. Fox is feeling a little overwhelmed because there's a raccoon and a rat on the table, and he's got nothing, and he's got 3 damage, so a little bit behind the 8 ball here. So what do we have to do here? Well, first off, the Bone Hammer. So if I spend 5, group that together, put that in my out of game zone. So I spend 5 support, I can play this card instead of its power cost of 4. So put this into play. It's going to do 2 damage to up to 2 animals each. 2 damage to this guy kills him. So when this guy dies, he gets to give a friendly animal 2 fury. Last Words is a triggered ability that lets something happen when the animal is placed into your stronghold. Oops, into their stronghold. So this guy gets 2 fury. I just made this guy stronger inadvertently, but it's kind of hard to avoid. Then I do 2 damage to this guy. So he takes 2 damage. Just put it to the side here. And then this goes into my support pile. Ta-da! Okay, so I haven't used my power. I just used support to play that card. Each time this takes damage, it gains a fury. 2 damage to an animal. If it defeats it, give an animal surge. And General Greycoat. Okay, so how bad do I want this guy dead? Pretty bad. I'm going to play the Carrot Saber as well. So that's going to cost me tapping those. And I deal 2 damage to an animal, so this creature is actually now defeated and loses its fury. Because it took lethal damage. It had already taken 2 and it took 1 more. Carrot goes into there. Now what? Well, I think now is a good time for Foxy to draw a card. Nope, can't afford it. Foxy decides to put that there, flip it over, tap those, and draw a card. Alright, can't make anything else. I could do a damage to an animal or to a stronghold. Don't want to. So then I'll draw 2 cards for the turn. Flip, flip. And 1 has to go in my support. Alright, the bone hammer came in really handy. I think we'll keep that around. I want General Greycoat for the future. We're going to get rid of the rabbit. Alright, that's the end of this player's turn. On to Panda. So Panda just got his army wiped out, but he still is in better shape than his opponent, I think. Especially with all the support kicking around. Those are some free cards later. So what are we going to do first? Well, last words. We're going to throw in... Let's gain 1 fury. I like this pandas actually. I think this panda group is pretty tough. You may pay 5 instead of paying this card's power cost, draw 2 cards, exhaust. I'm not going to use that card right now, so that goes in there. So I'm up to my maximum amount of power. I cannot gain any more, and that really puts a limit on getting this game out of control and being overpowered compared to your opponent. But I can put this guy into play by tapping my 5. 1, 2, 3, exhausting, sorry. You may pay 5 paw instead. Do I want to pay the 5 support instead? You know what? Why not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take that 5, put it in my away pile. I used that to make this guy instead. So he has no other power right now. He's a 4/6, so he's really tough compared to what I've seen in this game. And he has last words, so if he dies, he gets to trigger my stronghold for free, which will get me a free card with this stronghold. So nice power overall. I like this guy, the king, the merchant king, Radan. Alright, so that was free. I still can spend 5. Double the amount of fury on an animal. This guy, whenever you use your stronghold ability, gain a fury. So I could tap tap. So for 2 I can put that guy into play. And for 3 I can take all 3 of those, put them over here, activate my stronghold ability to draw a card. And when I draw a card, this guy gains a fury. So he likes stronghold being used. So instead of a 2/3 he's a 3/3. I like it. I've got 3 left, nothing to throw my explosive barrel at. So my other 3 power is just actually going to be wasted this turn. I've got nothing else I can do with it. So we're going to untap. And I can't attack because both of these actually came into play exhausted. So now I'll go to my upkeep phase. So unexhaust those. I'm going to draw 2 cards. Forgot I could have paid 2 power to draw a card. So we're going to say I did that. I'll draw 1 more card. I just won't be able to do anything with it. Because on here I could have used that 2 power to draw 1 card. Okay, but I do have to discard 1. Whenever I use my stronghold, deal a damage to a stronghold. Ooh, nice. We'll put 1 explosive barrel into my support pile because I have to put 1 card there. And Panda's turn is over. Back to Foxy. What's Foxy going to do? Well, Foxy's going to be scared. We have a 3 and a 6 on the opposing side of the table, and not a lot we can do about it. Got a general that can't empower anybody yet. He's a 6/4, so he's still tough. Bone hammer, which you can use 5 support for, and a Rockhide Defender. So we put the Rockhide Defender in there. We tap tap, exhaust all of these, make my giant rabbit. Giant rabbit can give another animal 2 fury or exhaust an animal. I have to pay 3 paw to do both. I don't have a creature of my own to give any fury to, so I'm just going to use his power to exhaust this guy. Now in Magic, if you exhaust a guy on your turn, they're just going to untap at the beginning of your turn, their turn. But in this game, you don't untap until the end of your turn, so this guy is effectively not able to fight on the opponent's next turn, so it kind of debilitates him for a turn. Nothing wrong with that. Now I've got a 6/4 rabbit on my side. Rawr! Okay, and then here I can pay 5 support to deal 2 damage to 2 animals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could pay all of that to do 2 damage and 2 damage. Is that worth it? Good question. Or I could pay 2 to do 1 damage to an animal or a stronghold. We're going to pay 2 to use my stronghold ability. 1, 2, and do 1 damage to this guy here. Alright. I've got no power to draw a card. I could get rid of 2 support to draw a card. So that goes there, that goes there. I get a free card for doing that. Oh wait, no. You can't do 2 support to draw a card. I was thinking of the other guy's stronghold. So I'll just get my 2 end of turn cards. 1, 2, flip, flip. And one of these has to go into the support pile. We're going to send General Greycoat there because we need to do some other stuff. Unexhaust. And we're back to Panda's turn. Alright. Panda can't do anything with that guy this turn. But he's got some ways to work around here. Oops. Arrive, double the amount of fury on an animal. I like that. And this guy can do 3 damage to a guy. Okay. So first things first, can I activate this? No. So that means I can't activate that. I could play this guy. So let's say we exhaust those 4 to make this guy. What happens when we make this guy? He doubles the amount of fury on an animal, so I go from 1 to 2. That guy becomes tougher. And then when a friendly animal gains fury, which he just did, deal 1 damage to a stronghold. Okay, I'm good with that. Now I'm going to take this guy, who is now a 4, when he is going to exhaust himself to do 4 damage to the stronghold. This guy doesn't have guard, so he's allowed to go right for the stronghold. So 4 damage already, plus 4 more. That means 8 damage is done to the stronghold, which means it is gone. Not sure if it goes to the support pile, so I'm going to put it there anyway. And the damage doesn't carry over, so this one stays at 7 until it's hit by a new creature. Now what happens is, once you've defeated the opponent's first stronghold, that opponent immediately gets kind of a comeback ability. They get to draw a card. If that card had a black flag icon, like you saw earlier, like this Oromancer has, then that guy would enter the play right away if you wanted to. This guy doesn't, so he just gets to keep that in his hand. So that guy's attacked, this guy cannot attack, this guy enters the play exhausted. Those I've already used. I don't have enough support to do that. I don't have enough power to draw a free card. So my turn is essentially coming to an end. Unexhaust everything. Draw 2 cards. 1, 2. And put a card into my support pile. Put one of these mini Oromancers, because I'm never going to make them all anyway. And that's the end of this dude's turn. Back to Foxy. Foxy still has their 1 general and 5 support to play with. Carrot, got a Spy Master. When it arrives, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Deal damage to a stronghold equal to the highest cost card revealed. Gain Fury equal to lowest cost card revealed. I like that. So let's go with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This big bad boy comes into play. take this card, reveal them, and then they're going to go back on my deck, I guess. So whichever one is the highest, which is 3, is going to do that much damage to a stronghold. There we go. First damage to this stronghold. The lowest, which is 1, is going to be a fury that this guy gains. Gain fury. So it's not on any creature, it has to be on this creature because it doesn't state otherwise. So let me put that back and that back. And so that was all the power I can use this turn. My stronghold can do a damage to something if I want to get rid of 2. Or I could spend 5. To do 2 damage to 2 creatures. Ooh, all these guys are big and tough. So, first off, the general is going to attack this stronghold and kill it. Which means this player gets to draw a card immediately. And, oops. So we draw that, and it does not have a black mark, so it does not go into play. So Fox continues their turn. This guy enters play exhausted. That's all I use, so all I have left to play with is my support. So I can do 2 damage to 2 animals. That's about all I can do this turn. Yep, so I take all of this, 5, so I'm paying, oops, this card's going to go in there. I pay 5 support, cast this for free, deal 2 damage to 2 animals each. Desperate times. So 1, 2, and 1. Oh, we'll do the 2 damage to this guy. At least that kills that guy. So this guy's taking 3 damage. Take 3 damage off now. Sorry for this redundancy. 2 fury get removed. This guy goes to their support pile. And then we have nothing else to do other than draw our 2 cards and put 1 in the support pile. Alright, a Spyglass, a Defender, and a Saber. Spyglass goes in there. Spyglass lets you play around with the top of your deck, but I've got bigger things to worry about right now. Back to Panda's turn. So Big Panda took a little bit of a beating. Professor Noctis, the fox, looks cool. It's just a sketch drawing right now, but I'm sure that'll be nice full color art when it's done. So what are we going to do? Well, we have a Rat King here. With last words, whenever you would use a stronghold ability, deal a damage to a stronghold. Nice. And a gig. No, 3 damage. We're going to play a Rat King for 1, 2, 3, 4. So Rat King enters the battlefield. When it arrives, nothing happens. It arrives exhausted. Whenever another animal is defeated, I can do damage to a stronghold. It's a cool bonus. This guy doesn't have anything except for last words. This guy, whenever an animal gains fury, deal damage. But we've got no fury gaining. And my new fortress says I can pay 2 support to place a card with power cost 1 or less from my support zone. Oh, so finally something does affect it. My support zone into your hand. So it makes me think that this vault maybe just gets destroyed. Might have played that wrong, so if I made that misplay, my apologies. Okay. So I don't have any 1 or less, so that ability is useless. We can do nothing else there. Nothing in my hand can be paid for with support. Oh, 3 support. Yeah, let's do that. Group that together, throw that away. So my opponent must take 3 damage any way they wish. So they can do 3 damage in any way they wish. They're going to put all 3 onto the rabbit. Alright. or sorry, the fox. Now I get to do my attacks. So 4 and 3, that's going to be a total of 7. So these guys are just going to charge right into the stronghold. That gets out of the game. This player gets to draw 2 cards right away. It took it 7 damage and it only had 7 defense. If either of these had the black flag, the Foxy could play it, but they do not. Now nothing left to do here, so we will ready everything. Sorry, these guys should be ready as well. And then draw my 2 cards. Panda finishing off their turn, draws 2 cards and has to put 1 back onto the into the support pile. I'll do another one of these guys. Alright, and we're off to Fox's turn. So Fox also has this guy on his second stronghold, and he has the ability to actually destroy that one too, but he's really got no way unless he kills these guys off. So let's see what's in his hand. Carrot Saber, costs 2 to shoot. Hidden Blade, you may pay 4 support to give an animal +2 attack, deal damage equal to that animal's attack to another animal. That is potent. But you have to pay 4 support for that, and we don't have any support. Eek! Okay, got some ideas here. Rockhide, Spymaster, Rona. Deal damage. Too strong. Okay. So let's say we take this card. We get to do 2 damage to an animal. If it defeats it, give an animal surge. Okay. So we get to do 2 damage to something. I'm not worried about giving an animal surge. So we'll do 2 damage to this guy. Okay. So that guy's got 2 defense left. This guy has 4. This guy has 5. Now what can we do? We can choose a friendly animal. You may pay 4 to give that animal +2 attack. And then it deals damage equal to its attack to another animal. First, I'm going to take my Spymaster. He's going to actually, with his 3 combat, he's going to attack this giant panda. So he finishes him off. Might be the wrong move now that I forgot that he has Last Words ability. Whoops. I haven't been watching out for that. I probably missed some earlier. Last Words trigger your stronghold ability for free. Oh, nothing happens there. Good. Good for Rabbit anyway. Then this guy's dead. And do they have Last Words? Nope. So it just goes there. No Last Words. That guy has Last Words. Now that I have 4 cards in here, I could play this. So what happens here? I choose a friendly animal, so I choose my general. I give him +2 attack, so he's now an 8 attack this turn. Holy big rabbit. And I spend all 4 of my support, throw it in the garbage, and I get to take that 8 damage and do it to another animal. So I can do it to the 3/4 or the 3/5. I don't really want to trigger his Last Words, so we're going to kill Professor, who's all stronger anyway. So the Professor ends up going in here, dying, and then my 8 powered rabbit attacks the stronghold for 8 damage, which kills the stronghold. Nice move, General Rabbit. What happens when you kill a stronghold? Well, it's a second stronghold, so the opposing player gets to draw 2 cards. If there's a black flag symbol, which there is, gets to put it into play. So we got a free bruiser. Okay, but we're still on Fox's turn. All of that's used, all of that's used. I cannot use that. So now I'm going to fix all my stuff up and, whoopsie, draw 1 card, draw 2 cards. And I have to put 1 card into my support zone. A Reinhardt Thief, some more drums. We don't need the war drums. Goes in there. Back to Panda's turn. Panda's feeling on the ropes here with a 7 defense and a giant rabbit. Meanwhile, they just have a bruiser and a rat king, but you know, they still have a chance. Take a look at their new fortress. They can pay 3 to heal an animal for 2 or give an animal +2 attack. So 3, 6. Guard doesn't say anything about not attacking, so I should be able to attack for 8. How, you say? Well, let's see. First I can spend 1. So tap, exhaust that, and give an animal +2 attack. So we give the Rat King +2 attack. And we're not going to use the support, so that goes in there. What else can I do? How much more in my hand I need to worry about. So I can then trigger this for 3 support. Throw that in there. So I've used this. I get to give a creature +2 attacks. So we'll give this guy 2 more attacks. So now he's +4 attack. 3 +2 +2. That is 7. He attacks the stronghold. Doesn't worry about that. Stronghold is defeated. And that is how you end the game, folks. Take out the strongholds. You're not as worried about the creatures in front of it. Occasionally they get in your way, as you saw. The rabbit had to dispose of a few cards to survive, but wasn't enough to stop Pandasaurus Rex. So there you go. That is one single playthrough of a game of Untamed Feral Factions. Really love the art in this game. I'm just going to talk about a couple things before I wrap this up. The art in this game is so well done. I don't think my computer does it justice, because Tabletop Simulator kind of dumbs down the graphics a bit and the coloring. But if you take a look at their website, you really see that. In their Instagram profile, they've been sharing pictures on this for quite a while now, and every time I see one, I'm like, what is that game? Oh, it's Untamed. And just what they do with these animals, like the panda group is some weird group of smugglers and gangsters. You've got the fox group that's kind of like a group of sneaky thieves and spies. And so it's all very thematic. The chameleons, which we didn't play with, are very sneaky guys themselves. The tigers, ferocious, attacking type of creatures. So just lots going on within each of these animal factions, and definitely room to expand. I mean, you look at how many animals are in the world, how many different kinds, what could you do with them? I mean, you could get panthers, you could get squid men, who knows what you could happen down the road if this game is successful. Really like that as an option. And I'd say my thing that I like the most is the balance that the creator has done. So when you look at their power system, nobody gets an out of control power. I didn't even see any cards that let you play more power cards earlier, so it's really a balance there. Each player builds up the amount of power they can play in a turn at the same time. And the source mechanic, support mechanic is pretty neat as well. Just being able to reuse everything that you killed in different ways to either pump up your stronghold power, to you play cards from your hand for free, or to even bring them back, as we saw with a couple cards. I might have been able to replay this solve, for example, with one of that stronghold that died earlier. So lots of new and interesting mechanics. I mean, there's been CCGs and dueling card games around for the last 25 years, but for a game to create some new innovation on their own, new designers, I think is pretty awesome. So my hat's off to them. I enjoyed testing this out, and really look forward to seeing this launch on Kickstarter. I'll be backing it, at least for the base decks, to see what that's like playing in real life against my son. And yeah, that's about it. So thanks for listening. This has been Wes from Fundamental Games. Check out my YouTube feed if you want to see some videos on other games, and hopefully you'll see my own Kickstarter launching in June for a little bit after this Untamed one, I'm pretty sure, but for Legends of Novus. That's one I've been working on for quite some time, and I hope that you take a look at that one. That one's I've got plastered everywhere, so I'm sure you can't miss it if you do a little word search for it.